guys? It's Nasim here. Now, the Pixel 6 Pro has been out for almost a year now, and there's many of you guys wondering whether or not to get it this late in the year. So in this video, I want to give you guys my experience with it and provide one simple statement that I think wraps up the 6 Pro pretty perfectly. And that statement is, I think that the Pixel 6 Pro is one of the most tempting phones that you can get in 2022. And I say this because the 6 Pro is a phone that didn't start off that well, but over time, it has grown into one of the most well-polished phones in the market. The Pixel 6 Pro has an amazing software that is arguably smoother than most phones. It has a really good battery that can last you all day, even with heavy use. And overall, it's an all-around great phone that'll give you a premium Android experience. And the best part about the Pixel 6 Pro is that it comes at a much cheaper price since the 7 Pro is coming out soon. And as I'm making this video, you can get a 6 Pro for around $650, which not only is cheaper than any other comparable flagship, but it's almost as cheap as the Pixel 6, which means that you're getting a top tier flagship without having to break the bank. And there are many reasons why I would tell you guys that the 6 Pro is one of the best phones in the market, but I wanted to share my experience with you guys so that you can see how it holds up in everyday situations. Now, the first thing that I wanted to discuss when it comes to the Pixel 6 Pro is the display. Now, the Pixel 6 Pro has a 6.7-inch display that I must say is one of the best displays that you can get on a phone when it comes to this price. I also love the fact that despite the lower price, Google still managed to put a 120Hz refresh rate, which I will say looked pretty amazing. Like right here, you can see me scrolling through the OS and it looks as smooth as ever. Doing simple things like going through the app manager and being on social media were much better than if it were 90Hz. And speaking of the display, right here, you can see that the colors are vibrant, the resolution is pretty amazing, it didn't look too saturated, and the whole experience was much better than I expected. And the whole experience was much better when you compare the price to any other top tier flagship phone. And to show you guys what I mean, I will be playing games and watching movies on the display.
Butler a lot. He leads the league in minutes play. That's a good-looking shot outside by Kobe. Great defense. It's going on one. Nice play by Carter. Will it be a pass at the other end? Yes, it is. Kobe.
Now, one problem that I had with the screen was that the brightness was severely lacking, especially when you compare it to Samsung phones where all of their screens managed to have the highest brightness. Whenever I was going to work, I would be outside on a sunny day and pull out my phone, and as soon as I turned my brightness all the way up, I still couldn't see as well, which was pretty underwhelming. But one thing that I will say is that the fingerprint sensor has gotten much better. It didn't start off great, but over time, it improved little by little with each update. I also really enjoyed the quality of the display. The resolution and bigger size gave me an immersive visual experience that was up there with any other high-end flagship. So now that we've talked about the display, the next thing I want to touch on is the software. Now, something that I really liked about the Pixel 6 Pro was how well it was able to run the latest version of Android. And while I was using my Pixel 6 Pro, I had recently upgraded to Android 13 and it handled it just as smooth as any top tier Android flagship. There were no lags, everything felt buttery smooth, and it gave me a very new feeling despite only being a year old. The 6 Pro was also able to handle power heavy games really well, surprisingly. Whenever I would play power heavy games, I rarely got any lags. Also, whenever I was using my Google Maps, the phone wouldn't get that hot and the software was still working fine, as opposed to other phones that freeze and get way hotter. But besides that, it still had those premium software features that really keep you immersed within the phone, and I would definitely say that it's the smoothest Android experience to date. And again, it had that premium smoothness that even with the minor bugs was a joy of using, and if you are considering getting this phone, then you can be able to use power heavy apps and it will run just fine. Now, after the software, I want to get more into detail about the battery life. Now, I would usually get about 5 to 7 hours of on-screen time, which was pretty heavy usage to put enough strain on the battery, and I was doing things like watching movies, playing games, researching, and planning out videos, which was fairly heavy use. And even after putting all that strain on the battery, I would end up with about 20% battery left, which wasn't that great, but was still enough to get me through the night. Also, take into consideration that I had adaptive battery on, and it adapted to how I use my phone, so there were a lot of times where my phone would drop to 60 Hz just to preserve battery life. Now, something else that I loved about the battery was the fact that it had pretty fast charging speeds. Like, there were times where I forgot to charge my phone and had to charge it while I was getting ready for work, and it would take me about an hour to get ready, and by the time I was done, my phone would be at 100%, which was just enough power for me to last a full day. And now the last thing that I want to talk about when it comes to the Pixel 6 Pro is the cameras. Now, the camera on the Pixel 6 Pro was easily my favorite thing that I loved about this phone. It had some of the best photos and ultimately surprised me with how great they were at such a cheap price. Like, when we look at the daytime outside photos, we can see that these were vibrant, colorful, sharp, and were able to capture my face very beautifully, and I really admire how Google was able to improve on selfie photos. And when we look at the daytime inside photos, we can see that the camera was still amazing, the colors were very accurate, my skin still looked amazing, and it was able to brighten up the photo even though there was less lighting. Now, when we look at the nighttime outside photos, we can see that the skies still looked amazing, the colors of objects still looked amazing, and my skin tone looked really good, all while bringing a great amount of light in to help the photo. And now when it comes to video quality, I would say that the Pixel 6 was amazing. The videos were vibrant, sharp, and let tons of light in. And to show you guys what I mean, here are some examples of different videos that I took. And there it is, my review on the Pixel 6 Pro. Now, let me know down below, would you get the 6 Pro or would you wait for the 7 Pro? Let me know. And if you guys made it to the end of this video, I would like to say thank you for sticking around. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe, it'll be very appreciated. And as far as social media, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. And I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.